We're in Disneyland Paris.
We landed in Paris after an overnight flight with our 6-year-old, 3-year-old, and baby on the way, and instead of going to sleep, we went straight to Disneyland, of course. Because nothing says beat jet lag like fireworks, castles, and a 3-year-old passed out while we walk. This was our very first day in Europe and our very first time at Disneyland Paris, and somehow it ended up being one of the most magical days of the trip. Hey pal, I'm Jordan Ashley, and together we vacation. We're in the middle of a 26-day adventure across Europe, traveling through 5 countries in 13 cities with our 2 girls and a baby on the way. We're sharing the real moments, the logistics, and everything we're learning along the way so you can feel confident planning your own adventures. Our family loves to travel to create core memories and bonds that last a lifetime. We believe that traveling with kids isn't just possible, it can be truly magical with the right tips, tools, and a little bit of pixie dust. So be sure to subscribe. We're here to help you travel more together. We woke up somewhere over France. After about 8 hours in the air, the kids slept, kind of. Our 3-year-old managed about 3 hours, and our 6-year-old got about 4, and me, I got just enough to function. But when we peeked out the window and saw the sun rising over Paris, the tiredness gave way to complete excitement. We were here after months of planning, prepping, and packing. Second guessing ourselves for doing this with little ones? Maybe, but we had officially arrived. Question is, are we going to beat the jet lag and survive a full day at Disneyland Paris after an overnight flight? I guess we'll find out. Breakfast on the plane gave us just enough of a boost to gather our carry-ons and head to Disneyland Shuttle. And yes, just carry-ons for a month in Europe with kids. I'll link our full packing guide if you want to see how we pulled that off, but I will say it made everything so much easier. No waiting at baggage claim, no dragging giant suitcases through cobblestone streets. Even our 3-year-old pushed hers all over Europe. We took the Disneyland Paris shuttle. Now there are other ways to get to the parks, whether you're using the train or private transport, but since it was bundled with our package, it felt like the simplest option after an overnight flight. That said, we did have to wait. The first bus wasn't until around 9 a.m., even though we were there much earlier, and the ride to our resort took about an hour, which we expected. So if you're hoping to get into the parks as soon as they open, just try to have a little patience. Or consider one of the other ways of getting to the Disneyland Paris resort. We stayed at the Disney Sequoia Lodge, which is inspired by American national parks. And honestly, it reminds us of the Wilderness Lodge back home, the woodsy vibes, the cozy lobby. Best of all, it's walkable to both parks, which is a huge win, whether you're traveling with kids or not.
Oh,
follow you?
Yeah. Okay. We gotta stay together.
We do have to stay together. We'll share a full room tour in another video, but for now, we just dropped our bags at the front desk, we grabbed my pregnancy band, more on that in a sec, and headed straight to Disneyland. We were exhausted, but we had a plan and a little bit of pixie dust. One of our biggest travel goals for this trip was adjusting to the time zones pretty fast, so we planned for no naps, no lying down, no giving in. We've done this before on other long-haul flights, and it worked for us. We wanted to get in the sunlight, we wanted to move our body, we wanted to eat on local time, and try our best to keep going until bedtime. So naturally, we took the kids to a theme park. And just like that, our 3-year-old fell asleep mid-step. Jet lag 1, us 0. We're in Paris! Grandmama, can you believe it? Okay, I know Anastasia's not officially fully a Disney movie, but I think it counts. Okay, so we're in Disneyland Paris. Mia has already fallen asleep. Jet lag's hitting hard. We were trying really hard. We're gonna wake her up in about 15 minutes. She fell asleep on the way over here, so here we go. Still, we made it to the castle, and oh my goodness, if you've never seen this one in person, it really is breathtaking. The details, the colors, the landscaping, it is gotta be the most. Well, debatable, but debate me in the comments. Is it the most beautiful Disney castle in the world? It's definitely the most beautiful one I've seen. I've seen 3 so far. Let me know what you think. After that short power nap, my 3-year-old was waking up in the stroller, and so we grabbed some quick pictures. I always recommend doing that early while everyone is still relatively happy and before the crowds come in. These pictures are the ones I'll look back on years from now. and they're priceless to me. They remind me of all the great times that we had together. After taking pictures, we went straight to see the dragon under the castle. Now, this is one of the things my girls were most excited about, and it totally lived up to the hype. This is something that was different from our home park in Florida. Whenever we visit a new Disney park, we try to prioritize the things that are different from our home park in Florida, and this one had so many surprises along with the castle. We explored the second level of the castle, which had an open-air walkthrough of Sleeping Beauty's story, and most gorgeous stained glass windows I've ever seen. Granted, I did end up seeing quite a few wonderful ones later on. We went to so many great sites throughout Europe, so stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll change my mind which one was my favorite. But I'm telling you, Disneyland Paris is next level when it comes to design. By now, we were starving, so we grabbed lunch at the Cafe Hyperon. It was quick service and pretty decent, I suppose. The only surprise, the ketchup. Definitely not what we were used to. The girls weren't fans, like at all. Now, I know we're in a theme park, but I was expecting a bit better food when we came to France, when we came to Paris, just based on what I know of the country and how it's presented. But unfortunately, that wasn't really the case, at least at this restaurant. We did have better luck at another one later on. But one thing I can say is I have never enjoyed a Coke more in my life. We kept the souvenir cups, of course. After lunch, the girls and I rode Orbitron, which is Paris's version of the Astro Orbiter, while my husband went on Space Mountain, Hyperspace Mountain, of course. I set that one out, pregnant and all, but we filled the time with one of my favorite hidden gems, which is exploring the Nautilus. It's like walking through a submarine museum, calm, fascinating, totally unique, and they were great activities to do while my husband did a thrill ride. And here's one of my favorite tips for expecting moms. Disneyland Paris offers something called the Pregnancy Access Pass, which is a free wristband they give you priority entrance on certain rides and reserve seating for shows and parades. All you need is a doctor's note, a proof of pregnancy, but once you have it, it is a game changer. I felt so seen and taken care of, and honestly, it made the whole day feel so much smoother for all of us. It was so much fun. If you have any more questions about what it's like to go to Disneyland Paris or any of the Disney parks, that is kind of my specialty, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Just send me an email at jordanashley@fantasticalvacations.com. I'll be making some more tips and tricks like videos on this channel, so be sure to subscribe. One thing that's interesting at Disneyland Paris is their characters. They are so hard to meet and greet, and I'm so thankful that we get to go to Disney World in our backyard so often because we get to do all of the meet and greets there, but they truly are tricky to meet here. Now, we did do some things like we caught Belle reading a story in the courtyard, and that was so fun, but otherwise we didn't meet and greet with characters at all. Next up, we spent almost an hour exploring Alice in Wonderland's labyrinth. My 6-year-old said it was her favorite thing she did all day. They could have done that over and over and over again, and I loved watching them do it. It was hilarious and so much fun, and honestly, it was a lot bigger than I expected. We also rode Pirates of the Caribbean, which had some unique scenes compared to Florida, and the Phantom Manor, which is Paris's version of the Haunted Mansion. It was much darker, a little spookier vibe, so well done, Paris. Which one do you prefer? Have you been on any of these rides in the Disney parks in the US? I'm very curious. One thing I was most excited for when coming to Disneyland Paris were the shows. I'd heard great things about their shows, and this next one did not disappoint. We watched other ones in the following days, so stay tuned for that. But we decided to finish our day with The Lion King Rhythms of the Pride Lands. And wow, just wow, I absolutely love the Festival of the Lion King at Animal Kingdom, but this was a totally different style. Think amazing vocals, gorgeous choreography, completely immersive atmosphere. It's a bigger theater, there's more characters, and they had a lot more dancers and acrobatics. And thanks to my wristband, we didn't have to wait in a long standby line, which was huge. These shows are so popular and they do fill up. So if you don't have the wristband or paid early entries, be sure to schedule that into your time. Now, there are a lot of things that go into planning a Disneyland Paris vacation, so if you were wondering what are some of the best tips and tricks, how does it differ from the US parks like Disney World and Disneyland in California, I have a free resource in our travel resource library that you can download with a QR code, or you can go down in the description box below, and hopefully that'll help you out. And just before we left, we caught A Million Splashes of Color, which is their daytime parade. That's not currently running, but they've said they might return, so I really hope it does. It's bright, joyful, and so much fun, and a great end to our first day. But we weren't quite done yet. We still had to make it back to the hotel. And at this point, it was almost 6 o'clock. We were exhausted, but pretty proud of ourselves because we stayed awake. We had fun, and we made the most of day one. We walked back to the Sequoia Lodge, picked up our room key, and crashed. The resort does not have any kind of quick service food option, which honestly was something to note and a little disappointing. When you're used to the flexibility at Disney World. Stay tuned for some of the other differences that I've noticed if you're used to the Disney parks in other parts of the world, but at this point we were too tired to care. Tomorrow we're headed to Walt Disney Studios Park and back into Disneyland for more rides, more food, and even more surprises. And let's just say the girls had some unforgettable moments that I can't wait to share. If you're dreaming of your own Disneyland Paris trip, I've got a whole video series coming up with tips, planning help, and things I wish I knew before I came. So be sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss out on those. And if you would like personalized help planning your trip, I offer planning services. Send me an email at jordanashley@fantasticalvacation.com, or you can fill out a guest interest form down in the description box below, and I'll give you some personalized tips. And I can help you plan so you can stress less and just focus on the memories. This is just the beginning of this season, so I will see you real soon, pal.
Bye.